Choosing a good niche is one of the hardest things to do, and if you choose wrong, it's the easiest way to waste months of your life. If I had to get started today, there are some perfect niches to get started, but there are also niches that people, they tell you are good that are absolutely horrible. I've done around $900,000 in revenue selling AI services to these niches that I'm about to show you. And I'm going to tell you exactly what to sell them, how to reach out to them, and what to charge. And then I'm going to tell you which niches these gurus they keep pushing onto you that are absolute garbage. Just so you can pick the niche that actually fits you, sell them what you actually are excited about, and then land them without guessing where to find them, what to sell them, or how to sell them. And then at the very end, I'm going to give you my exact pricing formula that I use to charge any niche in any market without overpricing or underpricing myself. Just really quickly before we dive into it, these are the 5 AI services that I'm going to be talking about in this video. These are the ones that I personally sold to all of the clients that I've worked with. It is the voice AI. We all know that one. We have live lead engagement that you implement on their WhatsApp, their SMS, wherever they get traffic. Then we have lead reactivation, usually on SMS, where we take their old database either of customers or people that never converted, and we reach out to them with a new offer to get them on a call with a salesperson. Then we have a Google review agent that reaches out to past customers and automatically reaches out to customers that just had their order or their service done. And we do this to rank businesses higher on Google and get them more business. And then we have the website widget that we put on their website to recommend products, help with support, or just answer FAQs. Now to our first niche, which is real estate agents. And I'm going to be putting it in F tier because in most markets, it is the top 5% of agents that make 80% of the commission. And then the other 95% that we can get in contact with, they usually avoid retainers because it just cuts into their commissions. And then on top of that, it's a very recession vulnerable niche. So when the housing market is bad or we hit a recession, it's a niche where you won't be making a lot of money. I skipped real estate because here's a niche that I would actually start today, and it's junk removal. A lot of owners and operators of these businesses, they answer their own cell phone, which means that you can pitch them directly on a cold call. That's also why they're in big need of a voice AI, because oftentimes it's hard for them to pick up the phone when they're out either picking up junk or moving. And when you provide them with a voice AI, the ROI that they see on their end is pretty much immediate as well, which makes it easy to retain them as clients. If you've never closed a client, this is an easy one you can start from tomorrow. I would highly suggest cold calling them, DMing them on Facebook, do walk-ins, or even call them if you see their truck on the road. And you can also find some businesses on Instagram, and you can also run paid ads to them. Sell the voice AI first, then do lead reactivation, and then sell them a Google review AI. Sell it at $500 upfront and then $300 to $500 a month. Now we have lawyers in B tier. They're in B tier because they actually need AI. They just take forever to respond and they're hard to get in contact with. The nice thing is once you sign one, they pretty much stay forever. And in terms of niche, it's not seasonal at all. You have all year round people that need lawyers. And in terms of recessions, you still need a lawyer during a recession, especially for things like personal injury. And the way I would contact them is I would go on LinkedIn or LinkedIn groups and then mass pitch them. Don't cold call because you'll often get in contact with the receptionist. And I would sell them a website widget for lead intake, lead reactivation for all the clients that got a response late from the lawyers, and then a voice AI for missed calls and outside hours. And I would price it $500 to $1,000 per AI you set up, and then $500 to $1,000 based on volume. Now we have social media marketing agencies or other agencies, and it's in F tier. Usually agencies, they protect their margins above everything, and if they buy AI services, they usually take it and then they kind of reverse engineer it and they just do it themselves because they're already pretty technical. They already have go high level and they know most automations. At this point, you're basically training your competition. But partnering up with them and doing referrals is genuinely a different game, and it actually works. So don't sell to other agencies, sell with them. The same agency that's an F tier to sell to is the same partner that's an A tier to partner up with. And in another F tier, we have personal trainers. They're usually solo entrepreneurs with a low marketing budget, and usually they don't really pay for system, they just want more leads. So unless they have over 25,000 followers and have high ticket coaching, they'll churn pretty fast because they don't have enough leads coming in, and if they only sell $100 to $300 packages, it's hard to keep you on a retainer as well. Now we have influencers, and I'll put it in C tier. They are mostly the same as personal trainers, but with a coach with a real funnel and over 25,000 followers, you can both actually make real money. If you're even considering doing this, you need to filter them out hard. Check that their bio is clear, they have a link, check that their funnel is working, and check if they have calendars or products that they actively sell. If any of those are missing, genuinely just skip it. It's an inconsistent niche. It's hard to find the right prospects, and once you find them, it's really hard to get a response from them. But it has big wins when you do. You can contact the influencer on the platform where they are most active, which could be Instagram or Facebook, and then sell them an AI appointment setter that pre-qualifies their leads and then books calls with them or sells some products. If you find a good influencer, you can charge $1,000 to $2,000 upfront and then take 10 to 15% 10% in revenue share. Next up, we have accountants, and I'm putting it in B tier. They're pretty much the same as lawyers, super slow to respond. There's a big need for AI to go in and help them. The big difference with accountant is that from January to April, they genuinely get so many people reaching out to them that it's impossible for them to handle all of them. So what AI can do is it can go in and nurture those leads perfectly until the accountants can actually go and help them. Nice thing about accountants as well is that they are super recession proof. No matter what the economy looks like, there will always be a need for accountants. I'd contact them on LinkedIn, and then cold calls, they work for smaller locations or in a local area. I would sell them a website widget that captures leads and answers questions, lead reactivation for all the people that reached out to them that weren't able to get back to, and then live lead engagement that qualifies and books appointments with the prospects together with a Google review AI on their past customers. I would sell it for $500 to $1,000 up front, and then around $500 to $700 a month. And for the lead reactivation, I would charge between $50 to $70 per appointment that you book. Now we have a controversial one, which is OnlyFans managers and OnlyFans creators. Usually they have super chaotic operations and they don't really know how to run a business. And if you sign one that has good operations, it's just really toxic for your portfolio and it's not something you really want to associate yourself with. I just personally wouldn't go into this niche and I don't find the payout worth it to do so. At the end of the day, it's just going to ruin your time, your portfolio, and your sleep. Next up, we have mobile services such as car detailers. And this was personally the niche that I started in and where I got to my first 5K a month. It's mostly all year round, especially if you put mobile mechanics into account, but it does peak during the summer and you'll see volume drop during the winter. And in terms of recession proof, if it's purely cosmetic like tinting or cleaning the cars, it's not recession proof. But if you take into the mobile mechanic aspect of it, it's very recession proof because people are going to need their car repaired regardless of the economy. And one of the reasons this works so well is because you can sell them a voice AI because they're genuinely just out doing jobs all day, missing calls. And most of them, they have no receptionist in place. Implement a voice AI and live lead engagement on their channels such as Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp to book calls automatically while they're on the job. A small downside to it is that you need someone with actual volume or else they're just going to be asking for more leads. Sell them voice AI, live lead engagement, and then a Google review AI. Charge $500 upfront and $300 to $500 a month. And if they have ads running into your live lead engagement, you should charge around 10% of the appointments that it actually books. Next up, we have restaurants, and I'd usually put them in F tier, but I'm going to put it in C tier now because now you can build a QR code menu with Claude in 2 minutes. You can charge $200 to $300 upfront for it and charge anywhere between $30 to $50 a month for having it running. It makes ordering for their customers more frictionless and they save money and time in printing and changing their menus. The best thing you can do is just make a demo, walk into a restaurant, show them how it works, or cold call them. Next up, we have tattoo shops, and I'm going to be putting it in C tier. Most tattoo shops have very low volume and very low ticket, and obviously they're not going to be good to work with. But the artist is usually very easy to get in one-to-one contact with and pitch them, even if they're some of the bigger tattoo shops. And for them, voice AI or live lead engagement on their Instagram, for example, is very valuable because they're tattooing all day and missing every call or responding very slowly to their DMs. So sell them voice AI, appointment booking, and an IG DM responder. Depending on size, I charge $300 to $500 upfront and then $150 to $300 a month. Next up, we have roofers, and internationally, it can be A tier, but in most markets, it's an F tier. Especially US roofing got completely annihilated by the go high level SMMA guru wave in 2022 to 2024. Every single roofer had been pitched over 500 times on the phone, in the street, and on their Facebook feed. It is genuinely hard to get through to a roofer even if what you're offering is amazing. And it's going to end up wasting you a bunch of time. You can cold call in most international markets, but it does work locally. You can do LinkedIn DMs in groups, Facebook groups, and I've even seen that they have school communities. I'd sell them voice AI, lead reactivation is huge, and live lead engagement. And one of the reasons that lead reactivation works so well is because a lot of people, they think about having their roof done, they get a bunch of quotes for a very long time. But it also kind of sucks because most people get it done in summer or spring, which means that it's very seasonal dependent. And during recessions, it's usually something that people, they even wait years to have done. Next up, we have solar, which is in A tier. Unfortunately, US solar is dead in 2026, especially because of Trump's tariffs. And in the US, 80% of the supply to the consumers is controlled by the top 20% companies that are basically impossible to get in contact with. However, Europe, Australia, and the UK is wide open, and it's a really good market. And solar is a pretty big investment and is something that people, they think about doing for years, which is why lead reactivation with a good offer works extremely well. And that's how I actually made over $300,000 doing lead reactivation for solar clients. To give you a quick story, we were peaking about 30 to 40K a month with solar clients only But in December, from those same clients, we only made $800, which just shows that you need to spread out the amount of clients that you have in some recession-proof niches and in some niches that are not very dependent on season. To contact them, I would do LinkedIn outreach, I would cold call locally, and I would do Facebook groups. And then of course, paid ads is really good, which is how we got the majority of our clients. And you should sell 2 services, which is live lead engagement and lead reactivation. And the pricing model we use to get to 300K with solar is with the big companies, we gave them a complete free setup for live lead engagement and lead reactivation. And then for lead reactivation on their old leads, we charged $50 to $70 on old leads that we booked in. And on the new leads that had higher interest, we did live lead engagement and we charged $25 to $40. And in the end, I'm going to show you the exact pricing formula that we use to price all of these lead engagement and lead reactivation appointment costs in every industry and every market. And next up, we have financial advisors in B tier. And the reason for that is because they actually do have a large volume of leads. It's not very seasonal and it's pretty recession proof. People actually seek advisors more during hard times. However, it is very compliance heavy. There's a lot of financial laws that you need to educate yourself in and make sure your AI follows. But once you get past that, financial advisors can actually take on so many clients, which is why lead reactivation is so valuable because they can always take on more clients and they always want more clients. And the way I would contact them is I would go on LinkedIn and use LinkedIn groups. Then I would cold call them locally and then I would also send them cold emails. And then you sell them lead reactivation and a chatbot on their website. For the lead reactivation, you're going to do appointment based, and for the chat widget, charge about $500 to $700 upfront, and then $500 to $1,000 a month depending on the traffic. Now we have landscaping, which is an S tier, and the reason for that is all the clients they get are usually recurring. So there's a lot of recurring revenue that you can actually help get. They have a huge peak in the summer, and in many countries they still need to do maintenance all year round. For cold climates from December to March, it's pretty dead, but doing lead reactivation on the past customers after that period of time is absolute gold. So if you do the lead reactivation campaigns in cold climates and then just run the clients full time in warm climates, that's what makes it a really good industry. I would contact them via cold call. I'd do walk-ins. I'd call the landscaping trucks that I see on the road. I'd contact them on Instagram, Facebook groups. It's one of those industries that you can find pretty much anywhere and you just need to keep your volume super high. Start with selling them a Google review agent for about $200 to $300 a month and a voice AI for $500 upfront and about $300 a month. And then later go into lead reactivation where you charge about $25 to $40 per appointment. Next up, we have insurance brokers. It's not seasonal at all. It's super recession proof. In most countries, it's required by law that you have certain insurances like car insurance, health insurance, or even home insurance. And for that reason, it is super high volume. It's one of the highest volume niches that I've ever personally worked in. The only downside it has is that the average ticket is a bit lower than in something like solar or remodeling, but the volume totally makes up for it, especially if you target some of these policy switching niches within insurance like car insurance where people, they constantly get new cars or switch insurances just to get the best price. I would try contacting them locally with cold calling, try LinkedIn and do paid ads and cold emails. Then do live lead engagement on their new leads, do lead reactivation on policies that expired, and then do voice AI if they have a high call volume. Do a $1,000 to $2,000 on the voice AI setup and then charge $500 to $1,000 a month. And then per reactivation appointment, charge between $25 to $45. Now we have dentists, and dentists are one of the more advanced industries that you should definitely go into if you've been in the space for a while. It's not seasonal at all. It's super recession proof. And even if you are starting out, it's pretty good to go local. And usually they are a bit harder to access than other niches, but they pay really well because you're actually providing a really valuable service. First of all, I would contact them locally with cold email. I just did a video on it where I ran cold email for 18 days. The email campaign went extremely well. We got a 5% response rate and 6 clients from that email campaign. You should go check that out if you're even considering running email. And then locally, you should try doing walk-ins or look on LinkedIn for practice owners. Then you should sell voice AI. Start with doing outside hours. If they don't have it set up already, do appointment confirmations, appointment reminders, and also rescheduling. And then lead reactivation is huge for recurring revenue, people that didn't show up, and people that inquired but didn't book. And then obviously you should sell them a Google review client that sends a message to every single client that walks out of the clinic. Charge $500 to $1,000 per AI you set up, and then charge $30 to $50 per reactivation appointment you get. Next up, we have SaaS, which is just all the software companies that you see, even the vibe coded ones. There's a huge opportunity in building genuinely good chatbots, not just for the landing page, but for inside of the software to help out the users before they have to go to support and wait for a response. The The only downside to this is that the software has to have a lot of documentation for the AI to know everything and be able to help with every single situation. And most software companies, they don't have that extensive documentation. So you're basically asking them to do a really extensive documentation on their software, which can take them time. And you have to keep in mind that you're already talking with people that are pretty technical. So if they have the documentation, or if you force them to make it, maybe they'll make it themselves. But if they don't want to make it themselves and you land them, you basically keep them around forever. I would try to contact them on LinkedIn for the older softwares, and then for the new SaaS products, I would go on Instagram, and then I would sell them a chat widget primarily for the use case of inside the software, and then they can also use this agent for their own support team to actually help with things inside of the software. And then you can also sell them on reactivation campaigns on people that didn't convert into the software. However, if it's a cheap software around $20, usually it's not worth to do the reactivation campaigns. Next up, we have chiropractors, and I'm putting them in A tier. It's not seasonal at all, and it's super recession proof. Pain does not care about the economy whatsoever. When you get a chiropractor, a new client, usually it's a client that is very, very recurring and is going to make that chiropractor a lot of money. And then once they go cold, you have a huge opportunity in doing lead reactivations with good offers to get people back through the door. And then on top of that, add a voice AI so you can both book appointments, make sure that people, they show up to the appointments, and then when they go cold, you can get them back through the door. It's a full cycle, and it's super valuable for the chiropractor. And a nice thing about chiropractors is they are more easily accessible than dentists are. I would cold call or walk into smaller offices. You could do LinkedIn outreach to the owners, and then cold email works perfect. And then of course, paid ads will also work very well. So voice AI for booking, lead reactivation to get people back through the door, and then Google review on top of that to get even more clients through the door. Because this is one of the industries where people, they look at Google Maps to see where the best chiropractor is. And then if you got them a lot of Google reviews, they're going to get a lot more business just because of that alone. Charge $1,000 for setup, and then charge $500 to $800 for both the Google Review AI and Voice AI. Next up, we have driving schools in B tier. They are recession proof, not seasonal. People always need licenses, and usually they end up selling a lot of recurring packages with lessons. Nobody is actually talking about driving schools, so they're pretty much a hidden gem. And the only reason I'm putting it into B tier is because there's a lot of smaller driving schools where it would be either even hard to get in contact with the owner, even if they pick up the phone themselves, and those same small schools, they don't get a lot of traffic. I'll actually go ahead and change my answer to the bottom of A tier for the right schools, because this is honestly such an untouched niche, and you're going to be able to provide so much value to it. Contact them on cold calls, do walk-ins, and contact them on social media like Facebook or Instagram, and then you could also do cold email to them, and then sell them on Voice AI and Google Review AI for every student that comes and goes. Next up, we have med spas in A tier, and this is on the low side of A tier, because if you land the right med spa client, you're going to be able to make so much money with them and provide so much value. But it's one of the most saturated niches in the US, and it's semi-seasonal during the summer with body treatments to get that summer body, and during the winter you have a lot of presents and gift cards that actually go out. So the nice thing is they have two different peaks, but they are not very recession proof because most of this is purely cosmetic. So during periods like recession, med spas are usually the first ones to get cut because it's just pure luxury. I would do primarily paid ads to med spas, or you can do cold email locally. You can't cold call them. You might be able to get some people on Instagram or find the actual owner on LinkedIn. The primary solution you should sell is lead reactivation because it's absolutely huge getting people and recurring revenue coming back to the clinic. Then sell Voice AI for outside office calls and a Google Review agent for anyone that comes and goes to the clinic. Because again, it's one of these industries that are very highly dependent on finding them on Google Maps, seeing their reviews, and then going there. Then I would do 1.5K per AI setup, except the Google Review AI is around $300. And then for the Voice AI, you can do around $500 to $1,000 a month, depending on volume and when it actually takes calls. So if it's only outside hours, it's going to be less. And then per appointment you book with lead reactivation, charge between $50 to $70. Next up, we have car dealerships in B tier. And one of the main reasons is because it can be very seasonal and depending on cycles of new models coming out. And it's semi-recession proof because people still need service on their cars, but the sales size can be very hurt in a bad market. One of the main reasons that it's also in B tier is not very much because of the value you're providing, it's because it's hard to prove quickly. And that's because sales cycles with cars are just longer in general. And especially because car dealerships is under a lot of pressure right now, you could end up with clients where you're providing good value, but they end up churning because they don't see that immediate ROI. However, if you implement yourself first in the service department to get recurring revenue for them, do reminders, make sure people pull up on time, and also set up Google Review AI for those clients, you're going to be able to prove yourself before you implement things onto the sales side. So contact them on cold calls, do cold email, and then you can also do walk-ins, talk to the sales manager, and also find the sales manager on LinkedIn. Then you should start by implementing yourself on the service side, and then the least threatening AI on the sales side is the voice AI, where it just picks up the phone calls that they miss. I would price the voice AI $500 to $1,000 upfront, and then $500 a month. And then per appointment that lead reactivation books, I would take around 10% of the commission. Next up, we have e-commerce in B tier. And I'm not talking about generic e-commerce, I'm talking about beauty, fashion, supplements. Usually depending on the specific brand, you pick one vertical. So for example, for fashion, you would pick cart recovery. For supplements, you would optimize their churn for subscriptions. And then in general, you can make a chat widget that comes up with product recommendations, helps with order statuses, and it can also help with support. So I would primarily contact them via cold email. Then I would find the owners on LinkedIn and then do paid ads as well. And the primary thing to sell are the chatbots on the websites that either just answer basic FAQs or can also go in and do support, help with recommendations. For just a basic FAQ bot, I would charge between $300 to $500 a month. But for the full stack support, I would charge $700 to $1,500 a month, depending on how much volume they have. And then I would charge $1,000 in setup. And then on top of that, you can also sell them a cart recovery automation and then also automate their Trustpilot sends or wherever they want to collect reviews. And you can sell this separately for $150 to $300 a month. Next up, we have high-end contractors. And these are things like kitchen remodelers, bathroom remodelers, or general house remodeling. And these are absolutely insane because they get so much volume and the average deal ticket is extremely high. We're talking about $15,000 to over $100,000 sometimes. And especially reactivation is gold because people, they inquire about remodeling their bathroom or their kitchen for years without even pulling the trigger. So reaching out, coming up with a good offer, and then getting people back through the door is so easy. The only genuine issue that this niche has is that it's not very recession proof. People, they just push off the projects until there's a better time financially. And it's also seasonal. So during the winter, there's not a lot of volume, but you can get around this by only targeting warm regions. I would cold call and walk in locally, contact them on LinkedIn. I would find them on Facebook groups and communities like school. And the absolute best way to get in contact with them is running paid ads. The primary thing you should sell is lead reactivation, sell it for free, then charge per appointment. You then do voice AI or live lead engagement, depending on where they get the majority of their traffic. Charge between $50 to $100 for lead reactivation appointments, then charge $1,000 upfront for a voice AI, and then $500 a month depending on the volume that they get. Next up, we have pest control, which is in A tier. There's a lot of recurring revenue in people that have issues, especially with bugs. So with that, there comes quarterly treatments, there's follow-ups to be done. And the truth is, the smaller companies, they don't do this, so they leave a lot of money on the table. And oftentimes you can call the owner, so they're pretty easy to land. However, the best way to go about pest control is to run ads so that you get those higher quality clients. And in terms of season, it's pretty consistent throughout, but there are high summer peaks because more bugs come during the summer. And it's recession proof because people don't want bugs or pests inside their house regardless of the financial situation they have. I would do cold call and walk-ins and call the trucks for smaller companies. I would do Facebook groups and some Instagram for cold DMs, and then paid ads and cold email locally is by far the best to get the higher quality client that you can't get on the phone. Sell them a voice AI so they don't miss any bookings, lead reactivation for follow-ups, and then live lead engagement to immediately book appointments from their ads or their website. Do around $1,000 to $1,500 in setup, and then $400 to $800 a month depending on volume. Next up, we have pool services, and it is very similar to pest control. There's a lot of recurring revenue, there's a lot of follow-ups to be made, and small companies are usually missing out on this money. The only reason I would put it slightly below pest control is because it does have this summer peak, but it does have less volume during the winter. But the reason it still keeps up is because you still have people on maintenance and on follow-up and can do lead reactivation during those times. I would contact them the exact same way, I would sell them the exact same thing, and as an addition to both niches, actually do Google Review AI as well. And in terms of pricing, I would price it slightly lower, between $200 to $300 lower, because volume is slightly lower for pool services in general. Because in most markets, pool services do get a little bit less volume than pest control usually gets. Next up, we have home interior design, which is pretty similar to remodeling. And the reason this is separate is because it's kind of inverted when it comes to seasonality. This is actually more popular during the winter when people spend more time inside. And the usual companies in this category that make the most amount of money also during the winter are flooring, painters, epoxy, countertops, cabinets, insulation, basement waterproofing, and windows and doors. So it's less seasonal and slightly less recession vulnerable because the luxury renovations inside, they'll just get pushed to the side, but some of the things like insulation, waterproofing, or windows and doors will usually still get prioritized. So while there still is a lot of volume and urgency on some of these high ticket projects between 5K and 50K, you also have really good lead reactivation opportunities because people, they sometimes wait years before they actually decide to pull the trigger. I would do cold calls and walk-ins locally, search LinkedIn for company owners, do paid ads, and then try cold email as well. And then I would sell them voice AI, lead reactivation, and live lead engagement if they're running ads. For the voice AI, I would sell it for $1,000, $500 a month, and for the lead reactivation, I would sell it for $40 to $60 per appointment booked. Next up, we have electricians, which are in A tier. They're on the job all day, they miss a ton of calls, it's recession proof, it's not seasonal. This is a really good niche, and the only reason it's not in S tier is because it's hard to come by companies that have large volume, because you'll find yourself a little bit stuck between someone that doesn't really get a lot of calls and the companies that have gated receptionist, everything that gets a ton of calls. I would focus on the ones that get more volume with cold email, try walk-ins, and then do paid ads as well. I would do voice AI and Google Review Agent primarily, and then you can try lead reactivation if it works in their market. But this one is a little bit tricky and it should be done just on the side. And then I would do $300 to $500 per AI you set up. And then if you do lead reactivation, charge between $25 to $35 per appointment. And then finally, we have HVAC, which is the king of all niches. During the winter, having no heat is an emergency. During the summer, having no cooling, it's an emergency. There's a ton of recurring maintenance changes and filter changes all the time. And for installation, it's big ticket. It's usually $5,000 all the way up towards $15,000. And in general, it's super recession proof. The only bad thing is some countries don't really use AC, especially Nordic countries. It's not very normal at all to have AC. So you need to find countries with either extreme summers or extreme winters. The US, most of Europe, Australia, the Middle East, they all qualify. I would do cold calls and walk-ins to smaller shops, find people on LinkedIn groups and Facebook groups, and then that would run paid ads and cold email to them. I would primarily sell voice AI for outside hour emergencies, so people feel like they are being taken care of even during outside office hours. Then focus a lot on lead reactivation and recurring revenue, and then do live lead engagement if they're running ads, and do Google Review Agent on top of that from every client that comes and goes. For the Google Review AI, I would charge $150 to $300 depending on volume. For the voice AI, I would do $1,000 upfront and $500 a month. And for lead reactivation, I would do $30 to $50 per appointment. If I had to start an AI agency tomorrow, 0 clients, 0 experience, no portfolio, and then just one shot at picking a good niche that works locally and universally, I would pick HVAC every single time. It's recession proof, it has seasonal peaks in both seasons, there's a lot of recurring revenue, they have big ticket installs, and the bigger companies have a lot of volume. Now, in just 1 minute, I'm going to show you exactly how I price this down to the T. Not just for HVAC, for every single company and market that I just spoke about. Because this right here is the pricing formula that we use in every market we go into, in every niche that we go into. That means this is the cost that they usually pay for one lead, either on Google ads or on Facebook ads. And then out of those leads, how many people do they end up getting in contact with? Around 30 to 50% is very usual, but the reason we use this as a formula is because depending on any number that they have, we're always going to price ourselves competitively and it's going to make sense for the business. As you can see, if you have a $30 cost per lead and a 30% response rate, that means they're paying $100 per appointment that they get on the phone. And it's very simple. All we do is take whatever they pay per appointment right now and we reduce this price right here by 20 to 30% when we reactivate old leads, and we reduce it by 30 to 50% when we engage with new leads because they're fresher, they have higher response rates and higher interest. Now, for all the AIs that we price up front, like the Google Review AI, the Voice AI, or even the website widget, we use the proof of concept offer. We show up to the initial sales call with a demo. We then use that demo to close them and take payment on the call. And for the close, we use the proof of concept offer. And what we tell them is that they'll pay up front right now. And if they genuinely don't like it or don't think that the AI will be able to convert, we're going to give them a full refund, 0 questions asked. This way, we give the business owner a 0 risk offer, and this is why it works so well. It's a no-brainer. Now, you know the niches, you know how to contact them, you know what to sell them, you know how to price everything. The only thing standing between you and your first client is you. So if you want my exact cold calling script, want to see exactly how to build out these AIs and also how to close them on a meeting, we have a 7-day challenge inside of our community with 150,000 members. And everything I spoke about and what you'll need to land your first client is in that community. You can join it if you want. It's in the link in the description. drop a comment with the country that you live in and what niche you're going to go for, and I'm going to tell you if it's genuinely a good idea. If you watched all the way to the end, I genuinely appreciate you. I hope this video was helpful. Now, the only thing there's left to do is get to work. Peace.